What's up guys, happy new year. We're back at it again, and this time I have something kind of fun that I haven't really done much on this channel before. We are going to look at some top 8 deck lists, and I kind of teased this out because in my last video I said I have one more tournament of the year and I really hope to win, and I don't want to spoil anything, but your boy may have done himself proud on this one. This was a huge tournament in New York City. 65 players, I believe, showed up because the prize was an Ultimate Caius alongside a bunch of other goodies. Shout out to the guys at Gamer's Choice for holding this. And one other thing I want to say is, in the past couple of years, there's been big tournaments held in Cali and these tournaments in North Carolina, but there are a ton of Edison players in New York, and honestly, a lot of really slept on great players. Some people that low-key have had some success in online tournaments as well, but just aren't really that flashy about it. But when I go to our locals, it's pretty stacked with a lot of pretty strong players that I would wager, if we went region to region, could really show out. Even our D-list players would show out. We had a lot of hidden bosses in that regard, and this tournament kind of showcased it because the level of competition was pretty tough. Every match I had that day was really difficult, maybe one freebie. But without further ado, let's get into the deck list because there's some pretty nice stuff in here that I think you guys will like. And like, comment, subscribe, all that, and we'll do some more awesome content in the new year. So first up in top 8, we have Jamal. Jamal is a great player locally, definitely one of the best players at locals and consistently does very well. And he played Amaryllis this time, which is pretty interesting because I've seen him play Diva Hero Beat, other decks like that, but it just goes to show that this Amaryllis deck is really picking up steam and more and more people want to try it. And he came up with a pretty interesting build, I think, though, not really like a lot of the other ones I've seen. Double Lord Poison in the main deck, no Debris Dragon, triple Miracle, so I guess you're really focusing on those plays because you also have double Pollinosis, which is a weird card, like tribute a plant monster to negate a spell trap or a monster effect. So you really just want to abuse that with dandelion tokens. I guess if you have a floating Amaryllis, it can help tribute that off too. And no MST, the normal double equip spell and 2 hidden armory, 1 needlebug nest, which is crazy. Just really maximizing the good mills and getting enough plants in the grave. The side, even crazier, you got Cactus Bouncer, Puppet Plants, which is a plant, fuels Amaryllis. I don't know how no one else thought of that. But double Fiend Comedian, that's pretty standard for them. The skill drains are becoming standard. 1 Oppression, which I guess you can just set behind Titanial in worst case, and maybe if you burn them down enough, it can kind of stop them from using it as well. But yeah, cool list from Jamal. Good to see that he did well with his deck. I think he was 6-0 in Swiss and lost the last round, then unfortunately lost in top 8. So kind of sucks that the run ended that way, but definitely a player to look out for. Next up, we got Jason, who was playing Hybrid Blackwing, and I know he's had some success with his deck in the past. I played him at a prior tournament, and I think he's topped most of the tournaments that I've been at. He got 3rd at the one the other week, so definitely another player that does really well locally and knows how to play this deck very well. Triple J, shout out to you. But this one, one thing that stands out to me, I like the 2 value rather than 3. I think that early game with Hybrid Blackwing, going Greffer, pitch a value or whatever is not really your best play. What really makes it good is when you can get the values to your hand incidentally over resolving Whirlwind, and then it becomes a really strong play if you're getting it for free and then able to have Greffer for follow-up. He has a main deck Gores, he's double Compulse, no Deep Prison, Dust Tornado, Legacy, so kind of really having some variety in the trap lineup makes it hard for them to know what you have set. And then we got DD Warrior Lady, I assume that's to help answer Consecrated, as well as kind of some standard Mind Control Knock against the Raikos, and 7 Tools, kind of a spicy tech, I guess, against the Mirror or Hero Beat, maybe even against Value. But good job to Jason. He definitely has been doing well at these tournaments as well and has a very experienced understanding of Blackwing. Next up we got Carter, another player that does well locally. I'm going to say this every time, but it just goes to show we do have some killers out here. But he went with Diva Hero. I know he's been mostly playing only this deck, and no upstarts, played the Sargs, played a giant True Nade main deck, no Wind Blasts either. So I think maybe this is closer to True Heroes list. So but I know he's just been making it his own as well. So Trag and Treeborn in the main deck. And then the rest of it is kind of standard. And then the side, we got the Super Polys, we got Decree and Dust Tornado, which is something I considered a bit. Maybe some games you don't want to board out your traps and board in the Decrees. So you just want to have like 1 or 2 Dust Tornado to bring in. I think that was a smart move. And he's very experienced with this deck. You know, I played him in Swiss and I played him again in top 8. I was the one to knock him out. So, you know, unfortunately my Oppressions and Vanity's Fiend and stuff just kind of got there, but definitely very confident with this deck and pretty cool list. Next up, we got Danny. Now this is a player that I actually am not very familiar with. I can't even really remember what he looks like, but he was playing gadgets, and I'm kind of surprised that like more kind of just like standard good stuff gadget or like, you know, normal decks like this don't top more often. Because, you know, if you're really metagamed or teched or playing some high roll deck and you just brick a little bit, this deck can really run you down, especially with the extra damage from the solidarities, maybe even throw a limiter in there. One thing I do like too is the creature swaps compared to just playing like triple smashing ground or whatever you might have. You know, if you smashing ground and summon a gadget and, you know, you're dealing damage, whatever, but the next turn they're just going to summon a bigger guy and swing over the gadget anyway. So you need to keep having those removal spells. Whereas with creature swap, if you are using it on, you know, take a Caius, Stardust Dragon or something like that, now it really puts the pressure on them because you're going to be able to keep following up with your removal, but they need to waste their bigger power plays to deal with that. And yeah, I mean, it also helps you deal with like early game hamster. And one especially cool thing is the sided Super Poly. I don't think I've seen any other gadget player do that. So props to him, very unique idea. So I guess this is for, you know, against heroes, if all your guys are Earth, so you can make Gaia really easily, and they can't chain Spark, you know, you can't interrupt that in any way. It goes through Oppression, which he's playing. And then I guess in the Diva, in the Hero Frog matchup, you could maybe take both their guys and make your own Absolute Zero, or, you know, if they just get, no one's expecting Super Poly in the sided gadget, so if they get kind of careless and put a water and a hero on the board, I mean, regardless of what deck you're playing against, it's going to be a huge blowout. So pretty cool side deck pick. And Ceasefire, you know, I assume it really was just for time, but I would love the world in which you summon a field full of gadgets with Ultimate Offering and flip Ceasefire on them. So, you know, maybe that did come up. And those are our top 8 players. On to top 4, we have Tim Pontes. I believe it's DB and Discord are also Pontes. Player that traveled down from Massachusetts, playing fairly standard Hero Frog. Triple Upstart in the main deck. You know, not everyone uses that. I don't really have a strong feeling on whether, you know, Upstart or just having additional traps or additional flex slots is good or not. But, and the Windblast and Regeki Break split is also kind of interesting. I think you probably want, you know, more than just the 2 discard traps. So if you're going to play 3, maybe playing the split helps you get around Stardust Dragon. Just, you know, having one in the right situation can be better than the other. Side deck, also pretty normal. You know, the Super Polys, Double Soul Exchange to out Vanities, and Dust Tornadoes, Power Traps. Pretty normal stuff, I think. But from my matches with him, I did play him in Swiss. He was my only loss. And I played him again in top 4 and was able to get my revenge. But yeah, the Swiss game, he definitely played very well in both. I think I threw a little bit and made some mistakes in the Swiss match, but I was able to get my revenge. But shoutouts to Tim. He did very well, and just, yeah, Hero Frog is always going to be a scary deck, and if Vayu doesn't draw well or you're not playing really, really on point, they can really easily run you over. Now we're on to the Vayu Turbo Menace, because we got 3rd place, Sajji. I believe that's his name. I really apologize if this is not you, but this is the information that was my friend told me. And he's playing, you know, fairly standard Vayu Turbo. I don't know too much about this guy. If you're in the comments, you know, sound off. But, you know, 1 charge, 1 hamster, Chaosaurus, Sork, Gore's main deck, triple Sirocco, triple Deep Prison, and no Oppression main deck. And then the side deck is kind of just a kitchen sink. You know, I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like someone said that maybe this guy plays current more. So it's like, if you're just going to an Edison tournament and you want to throw together some good side cards, this seems like what you might come up with. But in a good way, because it's like, these will even if you're not super familiar with the nuances of every matchup, like you could board these in and have a pretty good, versatile game against a lot of different things. And I mean, shout out to him. I can't say I watched a ton of his matches, but he obviously did very well in the tournament, and hope to see more of him. On to number 2, second place, Dylan. Yeah, I don't really know too much about his backstory as well, but I think he did tell me that he played a lot back in the day and kind of just got back into playing Edison, which you gotta love to see. And he chose obviously the best deck, Value Turbo. This is also made in Chaos Sork, but has double hamster, no charge, and then the trap lineup is the standard 10 that you see in most Value Turbo lists. He is maining Gores, is maining triple Sirocco, and the side, definitely more streamlined than the last one. We have triple Dust, triple Rug, double DDV, no Cyber Dragon, just Minecon for the mirror, Crow just 1, and Starlight Road for Blackwings. So yeah, all these decks are, a couple cards different from each other, and you make different kind of tech picks based on what you might expect and what you're comfortable with, but definitely in the wheelhouse of a fairly standard Value Turbo list. And on to first place, drum roll please, James Ark. I had to do it to him in the last video. Like I said, I kind of said, I hope to do well at this last tournament, and I pulled up there and just my lasers were set to kill. I just had to go out the year to finish the year out with a win. And I used, the same main deck as I've been using. I've tested this deck a lot more on ladder as well. So I did make some changes to the side. I went with Vanity's Fiend over the 1 Fossil Dyna. I did side Gores, which I wasn't doing in the past. I do like it against like Blackwing and Hero, and in the mirror as well. And 1 DDV still. I was trying out Needle Sealing after losing the other week to Amaryllis. I thought it could be a good pick. It did mean I had to swap out my Vortex, and I was hoping that I wouldn't play against any Christia Sworn or Dragons, decks that I really like the Vortex against, but I thought that Needle Sealing could have some application against Frogs as well. I never resolved it in the tournament. I did play against Amaryllis, and I was able to actually beat the deck for once, but Needle Sealing did not come up for me, even though I do think it's a cool idea, and I'll probably continue to test it because I do think Amaryllis is a tough matchup for Value in general. And yeah, I mean, those are the top 8 decks. I will say, just on my own performance, I'm really comfortable with this deck list, and I'm really happy that I was able to close the year out with a win and not just lose out in top 8. Once I made top 8, I was X1 in Swiss, only losing to the Frog Hero player, Tim, like I just said. I really felt like I just had to lock in and, just laser focus on taking it home. And, I wouldn't say I drew super amazing, but definitely some above average draws at various points throughout, and like some maybe unlucky sequences from my opponents. And like, I was just able to take it home. But I was really comfortable, gotten really comfortable playing the Value Turbo mirror. Maybe that's something we can do a video on or something. But yeah, sure, could you swap out the Book of Moon? Yeah, whatever, and change the side how you see fit. But I really do think that a lot of the choices I've made, like the double hamster, the Reaper, triple Caius, have just performed really well for me. The Caius, you always want to see it turn 2, and it makes like simple plays when you otherwise would kind of be limping through. Like if you're just tributing a value for a Caius, or Arma send Necro and then tribute that for a Caius next turn, that can kind of get the ball rolling in your favor when you otherwise might not have much going on. So yeah, I'm super happy with this list and where I ended up. I had a Chimera Tech in the side because I did end up adding the Cyber Dragon last minute because I thought there would be some Machina players. In general, I don't think you necessarily need the Cyber Dragon, but I did choose it for this tournament. So this Chimera Tech should be in the side. That is what I played for the actual tournament. I just had the wrong screenshot. But with that being said, it was a fun tournament at GC, Gamer's Choice, and I hope we can do some more in New York City Edison tournaments, because it was a great turnout, and I think we have a lot of very talented players that could use some more opportunities to show their skills. Not everyone here is traveling. Some of them are playing current as well. So I feel like sometimes there's a little bit of an online bubble with like just the online tournaments, or just certain tournaments that get coverage by other channels. Those are the ones that people think of as being worthwhile. But, there's tons of little 20, 30, or in this case, 60, 70 person tournaments going on. And I really try to look through YouTube every now and then. And if I see a 70 person tournament randomly happening in Montana, I'm definitely looking at those deck lists, because I'm always curious about what people are playing and what the metagame out there might be, anywhere I can get inspiration. So yeah, happy to go out with a win this year, and definitely no signs of slowing down. Although I may take a little bit of a break from playing so much. Like I don't think I'm gonna grind ladder for much of January, but I will be making some content and prepping for the year to come. Because yeah, thank you guys for rocking with me in year one, and I think 2024 is going to be a banger, tournament wise, Edison wise, and I hope to see you all at some events. So peace, thanks for watching, and let me know what you think of the deck.